emergency. What are you reporting?
Yeah, I got a girl hung herself.
Okay, sir. Is she still alive?
You're alive.
I'm Acadia Einstein, and this is Strangeful Things.
Sheltering in place is not advised, as your survival cannot be ensured in that scenario.
Love has practically caused me to just get you destroyed.
Unsolved, unresolved, and super complicated.
Strangeful Things.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Strangeful Things. This episode is brought to you by Denise, the greatest artist in the world. And if you need art done, you should contact me, like on Twitter, because I guess right now I am her representative because her website is not done. I can give you her email. She's awesome. I'll show you examples. She's really, really great. And that's all I have to say about that. Hi, Shooey. How you doing?
I'm well. Everything's good.
Good.
You know, except for my family, of course.
Yeah, fuck them though. I mean,
my mother's drilled her way back into my brain, so gotta get away from that. My therapist's like, tell her to fuck off.
You really should.
Yeah, I know.
So here's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
Everybody that always talks about, family is the most important thing. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about at all. At all. Like,
I think you're right.
You can't choose your family. Like you can't.
What are the odds? What are the odds you got? I'm one of 7 kids. Like, what are the odds that 7 people put in a room together would even like each other?
Exactly. And if somebody came up to me and said, "Oh, well, if I was able to pick my own family, I'd pick the exact people that," I would say that you're brainwashed. Brainwashed. Nothing to compare to. Suppressing trauma. That's what you're doing. I don't believe it for a second.
Oh, that's good stuff. No, but otherwise, everything is good with everything else.
Well, good. And that can be your new and good.
Things that are good in my new. Well, my new and good is that I went through the last part of becoming a big brother. So now I'm just waiting to hear on my little. And who that person is.
That's really going to cut into Empire time. Oh, unless get your little brother to do work for us.
Oh yeah, that's really what I was in it for.
Shit, I might do it too then.
It's a lesser version of the foster kid scam.
Ridiculous. Strangeful Things does not condone getting into the Big Brother program just to make the kids work.
Even though he thought of it.
Yes. As long as your little brother is an inside kid, he's going to have a great big brother.
I could have a catch.
Yeah. Hey, big brother, can we fly a kite? Well, I just spent $85 on Microsoft Kite Simulator, so why don't we sit down and play that?
I have it in VR.
Yeah, exactly.
You even get to hold this thing that feels like a string.
That's right. Well, my new and good is that I have a week off.
Hot diggity damn.
Yep. Fucking A right. Well, there's going to be changes around here. Big changes. Because this is time off that has nothing to do with anything. Like it's not.
Yeah.
It's not like later.
Although it is around, as you know, we record a few days before we do it. But, you have Halloween.
Yeah. And I mean, that's a big deal. But
Yeah.
I don't, it's not, I'm not going anywhere. And it's just me.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Right.
So
and you don't
we
have
are
like
gonna-
a big project that you have to do or something like
well,
that.
I got a million little projects. But anyways.
Yeah. But those
I'm
you can
sure that
avoid.
I'm sure that I'll talk about them on Twitter because I got nothing going on that I can't talk about on Twitter. So this week, like you mentioned, by the time people listen to this, Halloween will be over. So
Right.
we're not going to talk about demons anymore for now, anyway. In fact, I was looking through this season and it's pretty fucking weird. Like the things that we have picked, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
So for the first time this season, we're going to do a mystery. Are there deaths? Fuck yes. Are they mysterious? Yes, they are. And it's pretty intricate. And it's going to probably have a lot of our listeners yelling at whatever they listen to us on. Given our squarely Gen X demographic, I'm assuming it will be a Walkman or a boombox.
A Discman.
Yes.
I burned my MP3s onto a disc and
Yes.
put it in a Discman.
Yeah. And then I found out that
I had one of
Discman
those.
doesn't play MP3s, so everything was ruined.
Technology.
That's 256 megabytes of music, buddy, that I had on my MP3 player. Anyways, everybody listening, you are about to have your common sense questioned.
What?
No, not questioned, attacked. Your common sense is going to be attacked by, I guess, me.
I have none, so that should be good.
Well, so honestly, everybody that comes at me with, well, I got sense my mother. I don't know your fucking mother. I don't know how smart she was. Well, not you, but like somebody, my mother taught me. I don't care. Like,
who's your
just
mother to be
because the
teaching
fact
anybody
that
anything?
you have managed to live to this point.
Right.
I consider
she
that
didn't
us.
kill you.
Yeah, wear a tie. Like, I don't care how much common sense you think you have. However, this case is going to make people go, that doesn't fucking seem right. Like, shit just doesn't add up. You know what I mean?
Right. Yep.
And for the millionth time, we'll probably question just what the actual fuck the cops are for.
No.
But on the other hand,
we don't do that.
This story is about rich people. So while I am certainly not wishing anybody dead, if someone has to be dead, it's better that it's fancy rich people.
Yes.
Even though actually there's really no satisfaction in this, because the person that I dislike the most in this whole story, of course, because it's this show, doesn't really have anything happen. Well, kind of. Well, all right, we'll get into it. And if you are a pampered rich person that is not offended by the fact that I would not save you if there was a poor person to save in a sinking ship, you can go to patreon.com/strangeful and give us so much money that you are no longer rich, thus saving your own life.
Yeah,
how's that?
That's a beautiful sentiment.
Yep. So, Jonah Shacknai was born in 1957.
A lot of good names this season.
Yep. Shacknai. He's born. I bet his nickname was Jackknife when he was a kid. That's what I would have called him. He's a pharmaceutical executive.
Cool.
Yeah, that's true. Some say a pharmaceutical tycoon. And he was the founder of Illustrious Pharmaceuticals. He also founded and was the chairman and CEO of Medicis pharmaceutical corporation. Like, you can just put any fucking name in front of pharmaceutical and it's going to be Bodelo. Like, it's going to sound...
Yeah, exactly.
Ugh. And to make sure that big business is always at the front of the line. Yeah, it's very true. He was the chief aide to the U.S. House of Representatives Committee for Health Policy from 1977 to 1982, which means he wrote the laws and shit since the representatives can't fucking do it. Like,
yeah.
And I don't like, I get it. Like, you ran for the House of Representatives. You're not a fucking senator. You probably before this worked at a bank, like as a teller. And so you don't have time to figure out how to write all this policy and shit like that.
Yeah.
Right. But you'd think that they'd fucking skim it afterwards. Anyway.
Like, at least cliff note it.
Yeah. My take on it is, because he was described by one of the 500 million things I read as a tycoon, then fuck him. He was also a member of the National Arthritis and Musculoskeletal and Skin Diseases Advisory Council, NAMDAC. And he was on the U.S. Israel Science and Technology Commission. And somehow he also was a lawyer and was the boss of his own law firm, which represented multinational pharmaceutical companies and medical device makers and shit like that. And I assume he just defended them against poor regular people who got fucked over by the companies and the medical device makers. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did your artificial knee give you leprosy? Well, sorry. We have to manufacture them in a leper colony because it keeps our fucking overhead down. Anyway.
It's the cheapest labor.
Jonah married Dina Romano. Dina Romano, her name makes her sound like she should have gone to college with us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she would have come from Queens.
Yeah. Like, everyone was either fucking Dina Romano or like Gretchen Flannery or some Irish nonsense like that.
It's so true, yeah.
They got married in 2002.
Good Catholics.
Yeah. Fucking A, right.
All the good white Catholics.
Yeah. All 5 of them. Anyways, they got married in 2002. They had a son named Max in 2005. And they got divorced in 2008. Why'd they get divorced? I don't fucking know.
2000 knows.
Yep. She was his second wife, but that really doesn't matter either. Just forget about it. Stop badgering me. What do you know about San Diego?
Was she his second wife?
Stop it.
I know that's where the Padres play, and hence that's where the San Diego Chicken lives. And they host some sort of nerd festival every year.
Yeah, well, I love San Diego. Love, love, love it. I had to spend months and months there in the 90s working. Dear friend of the show, Eva Halloween, theyearofhalloween.com, is around there. I don't know if she's there anymore, but she was. And my Mrs. Zach and I's 2017 trip to San Diego Comic-Con was a highlight vacation. It was very, very fun. And we stayed on Coronado Island instead of in downtown, because since we were fucking dinks that never actually did anything with the bazillions of points, both air and hotel, that I amassed from traveling for work.
Right.
When we actually lucked out and got the tickets, we got the hotel and the flights for free because we had banked all this shit. So we were on Coronado Island. Now, Coronado, it's an island, but there's a big ass neat bridge that goes from the mainland to it. There's also a ferry, which very cool. We took the ferry that the convention center where Comic-Con is on the water. So the docks where the ferry went was right behind it. So we like snuck in from the back to get to Comic-Con.
How far from the shore is the island?
It's pretty far. Like it's not. I don't know if you could swim it. I don't know. Let me see.
I don't think we want to go by how far we could swim as the judge of how far it is.
Yeah, that's probably true too. You know what? Maybe it's not that far. Maybe it's not that far. Maybe it's, I don't fucking know. Doesn't matter. The fact that it's an island is not the big takeaway from this. Yeah,
that's not the main part of the story.
No, it's actually in the bay. It's in San Diego Bay, so it's close. So probably you could swim to it. Yeah, because the fucking ferry didn't take long. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So
we like being thorough here at Strangeful Things.
That's right. Well, there's a lot to fucking think about in this case. So how far away the thing was is not, don't fill up your brain with it because there won't be room for the other shit that we have to think about. Now, on Coronado Island is a place called the Sprickles Mansion.
That's silly.
It lays claim. It's one of the best locations in all of San Diego County. It's directly across the street from the beach. Beautiful views of the Pacific Ocean. It went up for sale in March of 2018 for $17.5 million. Then later it was put up again for $16.9, but it was built in 1908, and this Spreckles dude also owned the Hotel Del Coronado, which if you Google that and look at it, it's fucking amazing. I had to go to a trade show there once. It was just fucking phenomenal. Beautiful. And the weather, it's always like 72 degrees there. Like it's the room temperature town, and it never rains. It's fucking awesome. So in 2008, while Jonah was getting divorced from Dina, he started seeing this woman named Rebecca Zahau, who was 28 at the time. And she was married apparently to some guy named Neil Nalepa, who doesn't factor into the story. Now, Zahau was born in Burma, but her family moved to St. Louis, I guess. And somehow she ended up with Jonah anyway. He was 50 when they met.
Like she was changing planes and they just never made the connection.
Yes, I guess the plane stopped, so this is where we live now.
I guess that tracks. St. Louis.
Yep. So, yeah, I bet maybe it was TWA when they did it because that was their big hub. So, she was 28, and in 2008 he was what? Since he was born in 57, he was
51.
51. All right, so that means that he does not meet the half plus 7 years cutoff with this.
No, not even close.
He does not. So
he's almost going for double.
Yeah, that's no good. And
that's out of bounds.
And
unless you're a billionaire.
This is gross. Technically, and I guess when you're talking about age, there's no way to do it other than technically, she was closer in age to Max than she was to him. So if you have a fucking little kid, maybe not. I don't know. Whatever. No, maybe I'm off by a couple. Anyway, it doesn't matter because he was years past. Anyway, she was too young.
Yes, she was
too young. Now, Jonah didn't obviously think so. And they were still together in 2011, 3 years later, when Shaq Nye bought the ritzy mansion previously described. And one of his companies apparently made acne cream, which I guess, I mean, I don't know. I don't know about drug companies. Like, if the drug works, then it's good for the people that have the acne, but also fuck them. I don't know. I don't know. So this house apparently had 27 rooms, like 10 bedrooms or 11 and 10 bathrooms. Like every bedroom had its own bathroom. I don't know. And it had a guest house, fucking rich jerk. So they were all there. Definitely not using even a fraction of the 27 rooms at the time. And his son was there for a visit, Max. Now, Max was about 6 at this time. And I'm not going to say anything shitty about Max because he's a fucking kid. I'm not a monster.
He's a kid.
He didn't know what the fuck money is. You know, I don't know what, you don't know anything when you're 6.
I don't know. That kid from the movie The Toy wasn't much older than that, and he knew what money was.
Yeah. All right, maybe he did. But one thing he didn't know about was gravity. But he found out.
That's true.
On July 11th, 2011. Now.
Oh.
July 11th, 2011. Earlier that day, he went with his father to drop off his older half-siblings at the airport for them to go see their mom, Jonah's first wife, Kimberly.
Right.
Now, remember, there's a lot of timeline-y shit. All right? So, pay attention. After that, Jonah dropped Max off at home, and he went to the gym. Now, Rebecca was home, and her 13-year-old sister, Zena, who was visiting, were in the house, so they were fine to watch Max, except not so much. Because Max was dicking around upstairs with his Razor scooter. Because, of course, he had a Razor scooter, because Rich, I don't know. I actually don't know what that means, but I know that it was a thing. So, now I've got a theater of the mind this for you guys. The house had a big main staircase in the foyer. So, you go up for a little bit, then it turns left and there's a landing. And then there's more stairs going up the opposite way of the first stairs. So it like doubles back on itself, like an apartment stairwell, but instead of an apartment, it's a big mansion. Right?
Okay.
Stop reading whatever you're reading.
I'm trying to draw your stupid house, fuckhead.
Well, it goes up,
Christ.
turns left, and goes backwards. It's just like you know what I'm saying.
I got it.
All right, so
I got it.
So now, here's where the common sense thing comes into play. Because at about 10 a.m. that morning, July 11th, Max and his scooter went over the second floor railing, hit or tried to grab the chandelier, and ended up on the marble floor with the scooter and the chandelier and broken facial bones and a spinal cord injury.
Ugh.
So Max went over the railing.
Right.
Now, Rebecca said she heard a noise. She had been in the bathroom. She heard a noise. She found Max. She told her sister to call 911. Her sister called 911 a little bit later, like a few minutes later, not like right away. Like she didn't wait like an hour. And Rebecca was trying to give Max CPR. I mean, technically she did give him CPR.
It wasn't
like she didn't
successful.
try. Yeah, well, yeah, it's not like he jumped up and fucking walked it off. So,
right.
According to the first responders who arrived at the scene, Max was on his back, the scooter was on his right shin, there was a soccer ball in the foyer, and Ocean, their dog, was sitting on the landing, and the broken chandelier was on the floor, shattered near Max's left shoulder. The cops asked what happened, and Rebecca said she didn't know how he fell, but that he did whisper Ocean and then became unresponsive. So this 6-year-old said Ocean. So either he blamed it on the dog,
right,
or he was worried about the dog, or he was just naming the street that they were on because it was Ocean Drive.
That one's less likely.
Or he was talking about the ocean that you could see from the house, also less likely.
Less likely, yes.
Even at 6, he figured that his best chance was to blame black guy, so he was trying to finger 80s crooner Billy Ocean.
Billy Ocean?
Yes. Who had nothing to do with it.
God.
Although, I gotta say, Get Out of My Dreams and Get Into My Car probably is not... It's an awesome fucking song, but I don't think it would play well now.
No, not so much.
I think When the Going Gets Tough, the Tough Gets Going is probably what he should stick with.
That's the one I was just thinking of. I was like,
yeah.
He was in one of those ones with the Michael Douglas movies.
That was Romancing the Stone, baby.
Romancing the Stone and something Purple Rose of Cairo, something.
Yeah, there was another one, but I don't know what that one was.
I don't know.
So now the first responders also said that they overheard Rebecca saying to herself, Dina is going to kill me. Now, so all joking aside, for 1 second, no, the boy did not try to blame Billy Ocean, nor did he. I don't believe he actually said anything at all. Doesn't make any sense, but he was hurt badly, and he went to the emergency room, but then he was brought to the Rady Children's Pediatric Intensive Care Unit, which was in San Diego, and it was about a half an hour from the house. Except that with traffic, depending on when it was, it could have been, it's one of those things where, oh yeah, no, if there were nobody on the roads, it would be a half an hour. But if you go at any time where there is a car on the road, it will be 7 hours. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the cops find Dina, the mom. She goes right to the hospital.
Right.
So that's a thing that cops are good for. Like finding people to tell them terrible news. That is a cop thing.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
They do a great job of it.
So, and plus they can't really do it wrong, because when you're hearing terrible news, you're not thinking about how it's related to you. Although we'll get to that in a little bit, because kind of, yes, you do. So,
yeah.
Zena, the 13-year-old, cut herself cleaning up the chandelier, and a cop brought her and Rebecca to an urgent care so that Zena could get stitches. Dina's twin sister, Nina, so Dina and Nina Romano, she flies in that day, and Rebecca picks her up at the airport. And according to Nina, Rebecca was not giving straight answers. Right. She was being very evasive. I mean, Lord knows you should be able to, answer every fucking question being fired at you by a distraught woman when a kid under your care fucking falls and is really badly hurt and is in the hospital. Yeah. So Jonah's friend Howard comes into town for some reason, I guess being supportive on the 11th.
Now, whose friend was Howard?
Jonah. The father.
Yeah, Jonah.
Now, on July 12th, there's going to be a bunch of moving around and people coming and going. And one thing I want to point out, I think Jonah Shacknai sucks, but that is just my snap judgment and having no plans to look at him any closer to see if he has any redeeming qualities. Because I'm just happy thinking he sucks, but he does very much seem to love his kid.
Oh, that's something.
It's not like he went, well, sorry, you fell off the balcony, but I got to go to Pharmacy Con in Denver, so I'll see you later. But he didn't do that at all.
Only because there was no Pharmacy Con.
True. We should start that. It'd be pretty dope. Everybody would be so fucking high. All right. Ted Greenberg.
And those pharmacy salespeople are all hot.
Yeah, it's true.
Every single one.
What comedy bit was it where the guy went, "Oh well, I've been prescribed medicine because a hot girl gave my doctor a pen."
Sounds very Family Guy-ish.
Yes, right. So this guy Ted Greenberg from Camp Diggity Dog.
good camp.
Yes. Said, now this is the day after Max fell.
Okay.
He said that Zahau called to ask that someone pick up Ocean, the dog.
Right.
She said that her child was
Where's the
hospitalized
dog?
after an injury.
Oh, okay.
All right. Now, Jonah had come home the night before to get some clothes to go to the hospital. And Zena spent the night of the 11th with Rebecca in Coronado. Now, on the 12th, at 1:55 a.m. And this is where, like, I just got done saying that the father, at least loved his kid. And he did, but he's still a fucking asshole because he tried to stay at the Ronald McDonald house.
Oh, so rich guy tried to get something for free.
Exactly.
Oh.
But he couldn't because
I
it
knew
was
a guy.
full.
I knew a guy who did that with his fucking kid and took a scholarship away from somebody.
Jesus
Like he
Christ.
wouldn't put his kid in this certain private school unless they gave him a scholarship, and they ended up giving him a scholarship. The guy's fucking loaded.
Ugh, gross. So
Sorry.
he stays at a hotel and he goes back to the hospital at like 5:30 in the morning. So obviously Max is his number one priority. Also, not wasting money on hotels, even though you're a fucking tycoon. So at about 8 a.m. on the 12th, Dina leaves the hospital and then she goes home and like spends 12 hours resting. Now, I'm not a parent, but if I'm going to go out on a limb and say that if your kid was in the hospital and not awake, you wouldn't go home and chill for 12 hours. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you might need to get out of there.
Yeah, I guess.
Like,
But for 12
I can't
hours?
say 12. That's what I'm saying. I said I don't know that I would be able to stay away for half a day.
Right.
But I could see, like, I can't say that this story isn't too old. I was going to say, you want to go out and get a smoke, but
Yeah,
like 2011, who the fuck was still smoking? So
yeah, I know, right? It was California. Probably like RoboCop would just jump up and shoot you. So they say, okay, well, Xena, you got to go home because Max's head is hurt. And Rebecca drives her to the airport.
Okay.
She also picks up Adam Shacknot. So Rebecca's basically on airport duty, going back and forth.
Yeah, she's like a taxi service. Yeah.
To the airport. Yes, she picks up Jonah's brother, Adam. He, when it came in, for support, he's a tugboat captain. And in an interesting aside, he looks like my old boss's boyfriend. Like a lot.
Oh.
Like a lot. A weird amount. So, about 6 p.m., Jonah and Howard and Adam, Adam and Rebecca, who were at the house, they drive to the hospital, pick up Jonah and Howard, and they drop Howard off at the airport. So Howard only came for a day, and then everyone was like, Howard, you're really fucking in the way. Like, get out of here, I guess. Thanks for coming, but get out. So he leaves, and then they go out to eat, Jonah, Rebecca, and Adam.
Right.
Dina goes back to the hospital sometime between 6 and 8. And then, because it became a thing, there's a lot of fucking back and forth about this phone call was made and this text was made, and Rebecca's texting her sister Mary a lot, going back and forth and shit like that. After dinner, Jonah goes back to the hospital and his wife is still there. Rebecca and Adam go back to the mansion, and Adam is going to stay in the guest house because mansion.
Right. Because they have one.
Right. So then at 10:41 p.m., Nina, the sister, not the mother, not Dina, Nina, texts Rebecca asking if she can drop by to talk about what happened to Max. But Rebecca does not respond. Now, it's time for us to talk about what happened to Max. The cop said he was dicking around and fell over the balcony. Full stop. Now, everybody was like, he was fucking 6. The balcony was much too high.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, unless like his scooter's like a foot off the ground, the kid's too low to go flying over the railing.
Right, but the scooter went with him too. So that didn't make any sense.
Tricks?
Right, he was trying to fucking shred or some shit like that. And he didn't have any cuts. Exactly. He was Project Badass. He was trying. They said that he probably tried to grab the chandelier, but his hands weren't cut, which not necessarily. I mean, whatever. He was trying to grab a chandelier, not a fucking bundle of knives. Like, that's not necessarily, that's one of those things where the people go, oh, well, what about this? And this is where the common sense part comes in. This is where people's common sense is assaulted by the determinations made in this case.
Right.
However, it is my contention that I can see no upside for the cops trying to fucking slow walk a 6-year-old splitting his head open if they think there was any foul play involved. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, now, later on, there's lots of other parties that are hired to investigate and everything like that. And they're like, well, that could never have happened because the pile on the rug in the upstairs hall was too thick. He never would have been able to get up enough speed to shred his way over the balcony or whatever the fuck they said he did. And it just doesn't.
When do I get to say my theory?
About Max? Right now. Bring it.
All right, this is my theory of what happened. The girls were fucking around, and one of them tripped over Max's scooter and threw it and broke the chandelier.
Okay.
And then, to cover it up, threw the kid over the railing.
Jesus. And then went down the stairs and put the scooter on top of him to make it look like an accident. Well, you cracked the fucking case right there.
Did I not nail it? I totally nailed it.
That's good. Fucking kid in that scooter. God damn it. Oh,
leaving it around.
That's boy, that brings a tear to my eye. Your horrible rendition of events makes me so happy. It's taken so long of me wearing down your sympathy for others. And now we're finally there. All right. Well, right now you're the leading theory.
Okay.
All right. Now, that night, July 12th, 11:30 p.m.,
mm-hmm.
An anonymous source from the neighborhood claims to hear someone yell help, either from the mansion or near the mansion. Now, this did not happen, and it wasn't like they called the cops immediately, like I do on my noisy neighbors in back of me. This happened after they were asking people about stuff, so it wasn't. But it's not like, oh, someone just yelled help, or God forbid they actually go try and help them. Like, oh, I heard something. I better fucking shut the window so I don't hear anything else. So.
Somebody better do something. Let me close these windows.
Yes. Somebody that's not me. So on July 13th, 12:30 a.m., Jonah says he left Rebecca a voicemail saying that Max's condition was grave and his death was imminent.
Aww.
Now, At 12:50 a.m., allegedly, Rebecca retrieves the voicemail and deletes it. But there's no proof that that's what happened. It's just that there was no voicemail on the phone. Now, at about 1 a.m., Jonah actually goes to the Ronald McDonald house. Fucking asshole. So he had to check out of the hotel and go stay in the free place. Like, what the fuck? Then, Adam
They stay
Shacknai,
rich.
he said he woke up at about 6:30 and went to the house, probably looking for coffee. And he saw Rebecca Zahau nude, hanging by her neck from a second-story window. He ran to the kitchen to find a knife. He got a three-legged table and dragged it out there. So he climbed up on the table so that he could cut the rope. The 911 call you heard at the opening, that was him. This was part of the whole thing. She was gagged. He took the gag out of her mouth because 911 told him to. He was doing CPR. 911 gets called, and Coronado police are the first to respond. They can't find a pulse. They start CPR. Then the fire department gets there. They said, no, she's dead. And they're like, we can't. We're literally a little island. So we're going to call San Diego County to come help. And the sheriff's office comes. The medical examiner is called at 8:09 a.m. The sheriff's office gets there at about 9:20. Now, I have to impress upon everybody that Rebecca is naked and dead. Outside.
Oh my God.
Just remember that. Now, Jonah says that he got a text message from his brother saying that Rebecca had hung herself. A text? That whole thing about how the cops deliver information. Can you imagine if a cop texted you? Like, there's a way to do stuff and then there's a way to not do stuff. Texting, hey, yeah, I know your kid's in the hospital with a split open head, but hey, your girlfriend hung herself. BRB, got to go back to doing CPR. Like, what? Jesus. So, Dina got called by Jonah and said that Rebecca killed herself. Now, I don't know why he called his ex-wife to tell him that his girlfriend killed herself. Whatever. Who knows? Jonah goes back to the hospital. Jonah calls Rebecca's sister, Mary, but gets her husband, Mary's husband, Doug, instead, and tells him what happened to Rebecca, that she killed herself. And the cops interview Adam because he was the one that found the body, the brother.
Right.
And a lawyer shows up at the mansion, but won't say who he's representing, but says it's not Jonah.
What?
Later that day, the same fucking...
Anything about the gag?
Oh, we'll get there. Now, the same fucking day, the day they found her body, they gave Adam, the brother, a polygraph and said it was inconclusive and recommended that he should be given a second test, but the sheriff's office never did. Told him to come and do the second test. Some other cops from the Department of Justice interviewed Dina, and she has absolutely no information to give other than saying, I left the hospital on the 12th at 8 in the morning and came back at 8 at night. I no idea. The father gets interviewed by detectives 13 hours after Rebecca's body is discovered. The medical examiner finally gets there. And
that is not Quincy.
No, that's not Quincy. And they say that she died somewhere between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. Now, because this is one of those not TikTok, the app, you fucking assholes. I mean, a time-related TikTok thing where, times matter. The between 1 and 3 a.m. thing is significant. So underline that. They do an autopsy on the 14th. Max becomes very bad on the 14th. On the 15th, the cops talk to the Jonah again.
Right.
And then on July 16th, poor little Max passes away. Now, Nina goes home that day, and this is weird, but I mean, you can't hold anybody to be rational when they experience a death, like a loss. Right. Like you can't, you know what I mean? Like, oh, that's not what I would do. You don't fucking know what you would do.
Yeah, exactly.
You have no idea. Shut the fuck up. But it is, he called Camp Diggity Dog and said, yeah, I'm going to send somebody to get the dog. Now, a lot of people made a lot of hay out of, why was he talking about the dog? His son had just died and his girlfriend was dead. Right. He was looking for something that he could actually fix. You know what I mean? Like that happens a lot of times when, why are there so many fucking arrangements to be made about funerals? Because it gives people shit to do instead of sitting around fucking thinking about what happened. So on July 17th, Jonah and his ex-wife release a joint statement that Max died. Now, I guess when you're a tycoon, you have to release statements. I don't know who was wondering, but whatever, they did. And they also donated his organs, which is good. So I was happy about that. And Max gets, in July 18th, there's an autopsy performed on Max, but the results are sealed. Jonah hires a public relations company. On July 23rd, Rebecca is buried. Jonah's at the funeral. Then on August 8th, Jonah speaks, thanking shareholders for their support during a company conference call, and expects very quickly to return to the normal work schedule at the office in a couple of weeks once his children are back in school. On August 15th...
Good for him. Yeah. You don't want to worry the stockholders.
Glad you get right back on the horse. The cops turn on Rebecca's cell phone on August 15th.
So they never turned it on?
Well, they were afraid that it was going to fuck something up. They specifically said, like, we know we should have turned it on, but we were afraid we were going to lose something if we turned it on. Like, if it's one of those, it's locked and it's going to brick itself if you fuck it up or whatever.
Yeah.
So they get search warrants for Jonah's 2 phones, and they get those records. They talk to Rebecca's sister, Mary. They have a press conference, and they say, Rebecca committed suicide, case closed. Max's death was an accident, case also closed. Yay us.
2 for 1.
Woo. Now, Rebecca's family did not go along with this decision by the cops. They
weren't happy with that top-notch police work.
Now remember, Adam said he found her nude body hanging from a balcony. Her wrists and ankles were bound. Her hands were behind her back. She was gagged with a blue long-sleeve T-shirt that was wrapped around her head with the sleeves double knotted and stuffed into her mouth. And he said when he saw her hanging, like I mentioned, he went to the kitchen, he got a knife, he grabbed a table, he brought it out so he could climb up and cut the rope. Then he took the T-shirt off her head and tried to give her CPR. Now, I want to point out, and they didn't fucking cover her up for like a long time, to the point where there's news helicopters flying over the scene, and they had to fucking do the pixelation.
The blurry thing, yeah.
Right, because they couldn't fucking throw a sheet over the poor fucking woman.
Assholes.
Right?
Oh my God.
So now we're going to get to Assault on Your Common Sense, Part 2, Rebecca. Now, in her room, there was a red rope tied with a slip knot to one leg of the bed. On the floor. Now, okay, I said slip knot. Remember those knots I sent you in WhatsApp?
Yeah.
One was a slip knot, and the other was a cleat hitch. Those were the knots involved. A cleat hitch and a slip knot. All right?
My two favorite kinds of knots. So
yeah,
thank you for doing a story with them.
I aim to please. On the floor near the bed is a plastic garbage bag. They found a little paintbrush and a big paintbrush, a big kitchen knife and a little kitchen knife, and a tube of black paint.
There was somebody living there with a little person.
Yes. just happy hobos on their way, painting and living and loving their way across the country. The tox report, she had no drugs or alcohol in her system.
Right.
And so they made a big deal. And by they, I mean the fucking bazillion people that were all wrapped up in this fucking case. Because this is the kind of case, like, you can hear that dude with the white hair, Keith Morrison from Dateline, talking about this. You know what I mean?
The crypt keeper.
Yeah, that fucking guy. Like, you could just hear him doing it. Like, 2020, all of them would be fucking jizzing about this fucking case.
This kind of story, yeah.
So then there's knots. You know who ties knots? Tugboat captains.
Sailors, yeah.
Also lots of other people, but tugboat captains.
Boy Scouts.
Escape artists. I don't know. Kidnappers.
Clowns.
Clowns. So there was the cops were like, will you shut up about the knots? These are very common knots. Everybody knows how to tie these knots. Now, I know how to tie 0 knots, except for my shoes.
Yeah, me neither.
But it's never come up. Like, and now.
Did you single or double loop?
Double.
On the shoes.
Double.
See, I'm a single guy.
I can't.
I'm a single guy.
I can't live my life that way. All fucking dangerous. Like,
loops may not come out the same size.
Yeah, but I don't care. I can't have my feet being unequally tied that quick. So this and part of this sort of, as far as I can see it, sort of came down to the people that knew the Shackneys and against Rebecca, because like people were saying, oh, well, you know, they went out on the boat all the time because they were rich. So of course she'd know how to tie these knots. But Rebecca's family said Rebecca bitched all the time that they only go out on the boat like once a year, which tracks more for me, because I think anytime you get something, it's really cool at first, and then it's like a huge pain in the ass, especially a boat.
Yeah.
Because if I'm sure
that's a big thing with boats.
That he's not, like, he's too cheap to fucking hire a boat attendant or whatever it's called. Yeah. Tying his own cleat hitches. That's for suckers. That's so. The knots are kind of complicated, but also the cleat hitch seems like if you just said, I'm going to wrap this around this cleat a bunch of times, you know, you would fucking figure it out. Her feet were super dirty. The balcony was dirty, and she had footprints in a V shape, like a V out, like kind of like duck walk on the balcony. So like, okay, well, she jumped on the dirty balcony and her feet got dirty. So that checks out. But there was also a boot print on the balcony, and no fucking lie, the cop said, oh yeah, no, that must have been a police officer. What?
They didn't check.
So they do. No, don't worry about that.
CSI had been out for like 15 years.
Yeah.
Everybody
Check
knows
me.
about shit like that.
Check me if I'm wrong here, buddy. But if there's another fucking footprint, the best case scenario is it was a cop and the cop got in trouble because clomping through the fucking crime scene. But the other side of the fucking coin is, oh yeah, no, we didn't, whatever. It's probably just a cop. Obviously, she did this to herself.
I can't. How?
Well, I'll tell you what the cops said.
Like, how does she get it around her head and then tie her hands?
So, okay. I'm going to give you another crazy piece of evidence before I continue, because it's fucking crazy. On the wall, remember I mentioned the paint?
Yeah.
On the wall was painted, "She saved him. Can he save her?" Now, the sheriff said that it was, quote, "not a clear suicide note," but they took it as evidence that she had committed suicide. Now, everybody that knew her was like, number one, that's not her handwriting. Number two, it not anything she would have written because it doesn't make any fucking sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
And after the autopsy, she had 4 instances of head trauma. So they were like, well, she must have gone over the balcony kind of sideways and hit her head on the balcony as she fell. And, or like when she got to the end of the rope, she bounced back and hit the wall or whatever like that. But one of the forensic consultants said the chances of bumping into the railing, going over the balcony, and hitting your head 4 times is highly unlikely.
Oh my God.
Big fucking surprise. A second autopsy was conducted by a pathologist, and he said that he believed there were fractures in her throat that were caused by manual strangulation, not by suicidal hanging. He thought that her death was a homicide, not a suicide.
Makes a lot more sense.
And apparently the sheriff's department's investigation was inaccurate, and they fucked up the evidence that indicated that Zahau had also been sexually assaulted before her death.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Now, remember I said the timing was going to matter before when they said that she probably died between 1 and 3?
3.
Yeah.
Yep.
Her blood was pooled in her back. Now, that's known as lividity, and it takes 4 to 6 hours to happen. So either she went over the balcony at 3, got found at 7, and then got cut down so the blood pooled in her back, or it would have all been in her feet, which it wasn't.
He found her laying there and had to make it look like a suicide because he knows his brother did it.
So they were like, why would she tie her hands and feet to kill herself?
Yeah.
And the fucking sheriff, San Diego sheriff, said, quote, "There are documentations of incidents throughout the country where people have secured their feet and hands to commit suicide to prevent themselves from changing their minds."
My God.
Which is also stupid, because if you can tie yourself up, you can also untie yourself. That's the whole point of, if you're really going to get tied up, somebody else has to do it.
Right.
But the cops reenacted it.
They just don't want to do their fucking job.
Well, so no, they said, okay, here's how it could have occurred the way we said. They got a police woman about the same size as Rebecca Zahau to do everything that Rebecca did. I mean, not get naked, but don't think that way. So she wrapped the rope around her hands, then took one hand out, put her hands behind her back, put her hand back into the rope, and then tightened them with a string. Now, that sounds fucking bananas.
Aren't you the one that says just because you can recreate something doesn't mean
Yes.
that, yeah.
That's how it happened.
That's how it's happened. Yeah.
They did find a string in Zahau's hands. So that's interesting. However, the amount of time that elapsed between Max falling and this happening to her, it would seem very easy to find out where she fucking Googled how to tie your own hands behind your back so that you can hang yourself so that it looks like somebody else did it. So they did show that it was possible.
Did they explain the blood pooling?
No, they did not. But now this was also, remember, Keith Morrison on the case, Lifetime making movies. I think it was called The Murderer at the Mansion. I think the movie was called. I didn't watch it, but I know it exists. There was another piece to this. The bed, which was not fastened to the wall, that the other end of the rope was tied to, had only moved like 6 inches. So the local San Diego news, and I could fucking watch this for hours, like they were so breathless in this, like, oh, well, we're going to crack the case because we're journalists. And they were. They took like 100-pound sandbag. They tied it to the bed, threw it off the balcony, and the bed moved a lot, like way more.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. If it would have to be like she was like slowly lowered down.
The cop said, and this is, so I kind of have to stick up for the cops on this one, because they didn't go into the mansion to do this, because that would be very they went into some other like apartment. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like probably the meteorologist's apartment, but they were like, all right, well, we're going to put extra in case the bed frame weighed more. We're going to put some weights on the bed and this and that and all this kind of shit. And the cops are like, that's not science. What you're doing is not science whatsoever. It's not the same rug. You have no idea how deep the rug was. You have no idea how long the bed had been there and how depressed into the pile of the rug the bed had been.
Right.
Like, so the fact that you can make the bed move a bunch doesn't fucking mean that that's what's happened over here. But that's where common sense would tell you that the bed would move a lot farther. You know what I mean? Like, that's where common sense might not be common or sensical. And in some instances, you kind of have to give the cops that investigated it at least enough credit to say, well, this obvious fucking thing needs to be figured out. You know what I mean? Because remember, like the whole cui bono thing, what's in it for the cops? For the cops to spend all this time to say no foul play in either case.
Right.
Like, it wasn't like they had to do less paperwork as a result. Like, they did the same amount of work. They still had to fucking figure everything out. You know what I mean? So the fact that they got to that conclusion could almost especially since it was a rich guy, like, they try extra hard to solve stuff when it's a rich person. You know what I mean?
Right. It's not like this was some indigenous girl or something.
Exactly. So it was all right. Well, that sucked that happened, but that's the end of it. It was an accident and a suicide. Womp. Except that Rebecca Zahau's family was not having it. And they sued in civil court Adam Shacknai. Because they didn't think it was the father. Some people think it was the mother. But nobody thinks it was the father because the father actually straight up wasn't there. And maybe that's why he made such a big deal about going to the Ronald McDonald House.
Right.
Because I'm sure the Ronald McDonald House pays a lot more attention to who's coming and going.
Yeah, there's cameras and everything else. Yeah.
You can't just dress up like the fucking Hamburglar and go into the Ronald McDonald House and think people are going to go, oh, yeah, don't worry, he works here. Him and Captain
Just
Hook,
watch your burgers around him.
The fillet of fish pirate. Of course they're
guys.
Here. So yeah.
And the fry guys.
So they had the civil trial, and a jury in 2018 awarded Rebecca's mother more than $5 million in damages.
Wow.
Saying that Adam Shacknai was liable for her death. And San Diego Superior Court Judge Catherine Bacall, she said she issued a tentative ruling. She said that she was not going to set aside the verdict to do a new trial, which is what Shacknai's lawyers wanted her to do. And
right.
The judge openly questioned the conclusions of the two Sheriff's Department investigations. One in 2011 when it originally happened, and a second one in December because of the civil trial.
Right.
And the cops both times said, no, she killed herself. Like that's what happened. She said, but the judge said the investigation, quote, leaves almost as many questions unanswered as answered. She focused on the cryptic message, which she said Zahau likely did not write. And then she said, quote, and if she did not, someone else did. Determining who wrote the message would certainly be circumstantial evidence pointing to who killed Rebecca Zahau. This was only one of numerous pieces of circumstantial evidence that puts the sheriff's conclusion into question. As a result, it is not unreasonable to still ask who killed Rebecca Zahau. That's the judge.
Wow.
So, when Rebecca's family first filed the suit, the Shacknai side said, how about we just give you $1 million and we don't do this? And the Zahaus were like, nope, fuck that. We're going to get vindicated, etc., etc. Except Jonah Shacknai was super rich.
Right.
But Adam Shacknai was a fucking tugboat captain. He did not have $5.1 million, nor could the court go get it from your brother, because that's not how that's not how it works.
How that works.
You know what I mean? Like you can't go, oh, your brother has it, so you take it.
That's like, your family's money.
Exactly. They knew they weren't going to get the money.
Right.
They knew they weren't going to get the money. But you could also do, it was like the OJ one. Like we proved that he did it, even though he didn't go to jail for it. Like, and there's something to that, even though in a civil case, and everybody that listens to the show probably knows this, but I'm going to say it again. In a criminal trial, it's beyond a reasonable doubt. In a civil trial, it's just a preponderance of evidence. You just have to go, well, yeah, this seems like fucking, yeah, sure. It could have been, Martians, but
I guess the theory ultimately was what?
That he sexually assaulted her, beat her up, smacked her head around, wrote the message on the wall, threw her over the balcony, and said it was a suicide. Also, why would you get naked?
Killed her and had the blood pooling enough that it was still there when they took her down.
Yeah. Except that
Which
that would
means-
mean that the...
So that means that they wouldn't have killed her and immediately threw her over. They killed her, laid with her for a few hours or something,
Oh,
and then
geez.
threw her over.
Yeah, that is how that would have had to happen. Oof.
Because if you threw her over right away, then
Yeah, that's much worse. Much, much worse. So,
I like to think worse.
yeah, that was good. So, in a final twist, in February of 2019, the $5.1 million judgment was wiped
Right.
out, and the case was dismissed because the family reached a settlement with Adam
Oh.
Shacknai's insurance company. And nobody knows for how much at all.
But think about like how much it must be. Like the insurance company got involved.
How
Like-
do you...
Like
what
where
kind
do
of
they even
insurance?
fit in? Like, right, that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, does your home insurance cover like if somebody's killed in your house and they
I mean,
sue?
Flo has a lot of bundles, but I don't think Home Auto and accused of murder settlement bundles
I
are a
don't
thing
know.
that they have.
I'm sure one of our patrons knows.
Home Auto
Maybe they can
murder.
help us out.
So that is the extremely fucked up story of the terrible, unfortunate death of a little boy.
Poor little
Who-
Max.
So the other piece of this is because there were some people, because there's always some people that were like, well, you know, blurp. She killed
Really?
She killed
Blurp.
Max. Why would she kill Max? Like, there's no
It could have been an accident.
right. Well, your theory makes sense.
No, there's a lot of different combos of, you know, who did what to Max and then who did what to Rebecca, right?
Right, but the idea of Rebecca committing suicide as a result of Max's injuries, because remember, he hadn't even died at that point.
No, he hadn't died yet.
He could have pulled through.
But that's what I'm saying. Like that somebody is, and that's the other thing about the how Rebecca was found thing. She had to have been killed and left there because the binding was part of the killing, right? Because he wasn't going to bind her just to throw her over the side. She must have already been like that when he decided how he was going to throw her over the side.
Very good point. Very good point. Like I just keep thinking of it from the standpoint of I don't see how this whole the concept of, like, think about how goofy this is kind of on its face. Well, there's a lot of people that tie their own hands and feet up when they're killing themselves so that they can't change their mind. Well, what about all the time they had to change their mind while they were figuring out how to tie themselves up? Shut up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's...
No, I know, totally.
That's
the only
fucking
thing
bad.
I can think of, and this is my last crazy theory on this, is that Adam had issues with Rebecca because of something with his brother, and I don't know what. And then Adam doesn't think he's killed her, right? So he writes on the wall, "You saved him, will he save you?" Meaning, will the brother come and save you? But he doesn't. And then when Adam comes back in the morning, he throws her over the side.
I mean, I guess that's as possible as anything else.
Is any other one?
I mean, it's
That's what I like about it. You just bring up more.
But the
combos
other piece, and we're over, of course, because now we just talk as long as we want. It's all fucking bananas. We're unfettered.
Yeah,
we're free. We're not going to let people hold us back. But
born free.
The other thing is, I don't know how somebody gets so mad so fast that they fucking kill her before Max is even dead.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I can see you getting mad. Like, sure, if somebody's babysitting and, you know, the whole you had one job and they fuck up that one job, yes, you're going to be very mad. I don't know if you're going to be murdering mad.
Well, I think that's the part that ultimately comes down to the person, because, you know, there are people, you know, I think like you and I who if we were to even like our biggest snap wouldn't result in murder, but we probably both know people who's.
Oh, that's for fucking sure.
You know,
that's
it's
true.
just, you know, everybody's different and people have different lines they're willing to cross, you know.
Well, I'll tell you what line we're going to cross. The finish line.
Yeah, thank goodness. Another long one. Whew.
Yep. You know what? We do what we want. So that was the case of Rebecca Zahau. I am very, very interested in what y'all think about this one, because it is not what we would call cut and dried. Not by a fucking long shot. And I want to know what you think. How do they tell us what they think? Again?
They tell us what they think by going to allmylinks.com/strangeful things and finding links there for everywhere from Instagram to Twitter, Facebook, website, all that stuff.
Good. So that's the story.
That's it.
And if you guys need anything, let us know. Also, if you need art done, actually, you know what? I'm gonna put something on my Instagram right now. My Instagram is what is it?
Acadia
Einstein, right? Okay, so yeah. I'm gonna put right fucking now a picture of some of Denise's art that I'm telling y'all you need to fucking get in on this action, because she does commissions, and if you need cool shit, she is there to provide said cool shit. So there. Take that.
All right.
And then contact me because like I said, I can't, you know what I'm saying? Like I can't give you her info because I can't give you her info.
Oh, right, because you said her site's not up yet and stuff.
Yeah, so I'm her intermediary. So go find me on Instagram, and then you'll see the picture, and then you'll be like, oh my God, he's right.
You will be. And while you're doing that, you should keep on flapping.
Bye-bye.